Yo, man, what's the YouTube, man? So we're back with the final part of this documentary. If you guys are new, like, subscribe, so much part 4. We're playing Shock here, man. Let's go.
Music industry at this point, whether the authorities, politicians, or newspapers liked it or not. The battles between these famous gang-affiliated rappers had become like a twisted reality show that Swedish citizens were following with sick interest. Unfortunately, however, for the actual rappers and gangsters involved, this was not a game. And naturally, Escalation wouldn't be far behind, as ultimately, revenge would be taken for these despicable acts, leading to yet more deadly bloodshed on the streets of Sweden.
Here's one thing you need to do before you buy anything online. Don't spend another dime on Amazon.
Following the kidnapping of Einar and the arrest of the kidnappers, Einar himself kept it street and refused to cooperate in the investigation, and the leaked pictures from the humiliation ritual seemed to have little if any effect on his popularity, which was only growing. Whilst his old industry friends were fighting their case, Einar would continue showing off his luxurious lifestyle on social media, seemingly replacing his stolen watches with a whole collection of Rolexes and showing off luxury vacations and his time spent driving Lamborghinis. In a way, Einar was taunting his rivals and showing that he was doing better than ever despite their best efforts. Moreover, this kidnapping wouldn't make Einar disassociate with the streets, but rather get far more involved, with rumours actually spreading that he was hanging out with various different gangs following his kidnapping and even buying protection from some of them, not dissimilar to Takeshi 69 before he ended up getting busted, including possibly heavy hitters like the Bredan Getwork and Bandito's motorcycle gang, who were infamous in the streets of Sweden for a string of bombings. Einar was also still associating himself with many of the allegedly gang-affiliated rappers such as 50 and Mowgli, who were allegedly in the Bro network from Uplands Bro in North Stockholm. This gang has become infamous in recent years for their affiliations with the Foxtrot gang, who have been estimated to run one of the largest drug smuggling and distribution operations in Sweden, with one bust concerning a
See, right here, man, I want to see on why they killed him. I know he's in the streets, but how they got out there to catch him lacking. That's what I really want to find out.
Conspiracy to smuggle a whopping 800 kilos of dope. Foxtrot has also been entangled in extremely violent clashes in recent years with other large gangs, including the Darlan network, who was seemingly directly responsible for Einar's kidnapping, as well as going through a bloody internal conflict. Now, the gang was rumoured to have been led by a man named Rawa Majid, the name Rawa being close to the Swedish word rev, which means fox, where the name Foxtrot stems from. Majid is also more commonly known in the media by his nickname, the Kurdish Fox. Einar also collaborated with a rapper called One Cuz, who received unexpected international fame when he got a shout out from Ed Sheeran during a 2022 Breakfast Club interview.
There's a Swedish rapper I was listening to the other day called One Cuz, and he raps in Swedish, but I still feel it. Yeah.
One Cuz is alleged to have been affiliated with a gang called the Lions, a gang hailing.
Hey man, if you get a shout out from Ed Sheeran, you better use that to your advantage to keep on the same making music and all that.
From the Hässelby Gård suburb in northwestern Stockholm, a gang which has since allegedly split into two rival gangs after an internal conflict, which I'm not going to get into here. But after doing a prison bid for getting caught with some heavy weaponry, One Cuz would claim to have left the streets behind him, focusing instead on his music career and collaborating with various mainstream celebrities like Ed Sheeran himself, who actually linked up with One Cuz on the track Two Step. One Cuz has even been associated with the infamous climate activist Greta Thunberg. However, in spite of saying that he left the gang life behind, references to the gang lifestyle have remained a steady part of his music going forward. In his recent music video for the song Trauma Paranoia, One Cuz can even be seen hanging out in both Hässelby Gård and Rinkeby with a large gang. And at one point in the video, a masked man can be seen pointing towards the infamous pizza place in Rinkeby where Hamza was killed. And at the end of the video, One Cuz can be seen posting with the same man in front of the pizza place, making it seem as if the masked man is somehow connected with the murder that took place there. Indeed, One Cuz would also post a photo on Instagram where he's hanging out with none other than Shaki, the young Death Patrol member who killed Hamza at the pizza place. This would cause One Cuz to receive some...
At that point, it really looks like they're just taunting, really. That point really looked like he just really taunting them, to be honest.
Questionable media coverage, with Swedish news reporting a sensational headline calling out Greta Thunberg for socializing with a Death Patrol killer, with this negative press perhaps being the reason that the official YouTube video of that song has been deleted from YouTube. When it comes to the Death Patrol, it seemed that Einar too was increasingly spending time with people who had connections to the gang and their affiliates, including the Death Patrol affiliate Dumla and rappers Adel and ZE, who are both from the Järva area. Adel too has been associated in the past with the Death Patrol and the Husby's Hyenas, both enemies of the Shottaz. Einar was also not shunning away from rapping about his enemies. In the songs after his kidnapping, he would seemingly often sneak diss diss the people involved. For example, in one song, with the title translating roughly to "Put Them in Their Place," released in February 2021, Einar raps about becoming the most streamed artist in Sweden and people who used to be his friends betraying him because of jealousy, as well as referencing former friends who want to see him dead. After this, in April, Einar would put out his most pointed diss with his feature on the song Voi by rapper Danny M. About a week before the song was released, a young man was shot to death in the suburb of Kista. This man would turn out to be the little brother of Haval, the man accused of setting up the kidnapping of Einar. According to reports, the killers in this murder had actually fled the scene on electric scooters, with Voi, the title of that song, in fact being a popular brand of rentable e-scooters in Stockholm. In the chorus of the song, Danny and Einar rap about a body laying on the ground like a ditched scooter, rapping the lyrics, "Come get your boy." And the image.
Damn, so he was taunting as well. So Einar was taunting. I mean, they kidnapped him. The people that he thought that was his homies weren't really homies, and they kidnapped him and did all that stuff to him, you know what I'm saying?
Imagery of a scooter laying on the
He's
ground
back and
is seen
forth,
in the
man,
cover
back and forth
artwork
with
for the
people.
song, and Einar would actually end his verse with lyrics that seemingly imply his role in a murder-for-hire plot, rapping that a young'un will take one for the team and shoot someone and their friend, and that his new team is planning more than just getting famous, followed by gunshot sounds. The release of this scooter-themed song, so soon after the scooter-aided murder, would start rumours that Einar may have ordered the murder as revenge for his kidnapping, and much later, alleged leaked DMs between Danny and Haval were posted on social media after Haval had supposedly gotten this song dissing his murdered brother removed from Spotify. But while Einar was seemingly bragging about get back for his kidnapping, the authorities would be getting back for it too. In July 2021, Yasin and Haval were finally found guilty for their parts in the kidnapping, and they were sentenced to prison. Haval for 2.5 years, and Yasin for just 10 months. A few months later, in September,
That's it? 2.5 years and 10 months? Damn.
Einar would drop a new song, Dancer or Dance, with the rapper Adam, where he seemingly once again takes shots at Haval and his murdered brother. Also in September, newspapers report how a drunken rapper had tried to take a police officer's gun while he was being detained, ending in him getting tased. Different sources seem to put Einar together with his rapper friends Adel and ZE all at the scene, with suggestions that the altercation had taken place during a raid on a party that they were attending. Then, the next month on October the 9th, 2021, newspapers would report how two famous rappers had been arrested following a stabbing in a restaurant. The newspapers would also report that the victim belonged to the Husby's Hyenas gang and that the stabbing was gang-related. And rumours would later circulate suggesting that Einar, together once again with Adel and ZE, were all at the scene of the stabbing. It seemed that despite Einar's massive mainstream success and previous entanglements with gang members, his life was still heading in an increasingly violent direction. And unfortunately, only about 2 weeks later, on October the 21st, it would all come to an end. That night, Einar was out once again, hanging out with Adel as well as Dumla, who had recently begun making music himself. They were in the wealthy Hammarby Kärrstad neighbourhood in central Stockholm, where Einar had gotten an apartment. As the trio was exiting a bike storage room at the yard of...
See, I don't know why would you stay in that area. You should just move out of Sweden, but I don't know, man. He should just move out of Sweden for real, bro.
Einar's apartment building after an apparent smoke session, two assailants would approach them with guns and begin shooting, making Adel and Einar begin to run in different directions, while Dumla would supposedly go back into the bike storage. Einar ran into a courtyard and was seemingly heading towards the door of the building, but would reportedly choose the wrong door where his key fob didn't work. At this point, he would be shot several times from close distance. Soon after, people in and around the apartments would arrive to try and help him, with some seemingly realizing that this was a famous rapper deciding to film his final moments on the ground, which would soon end up going viral on the internet. Meanwhile, people from the other side seemingly celebrating and posted the picture of Einar dead on the ground with the caption, "Free Haval." That very night, people on the internet would get the information.
I don't understand. Shot in the chest and head. He died on the spot. I mean, he was taunting bad, but they wanted to get him anyway. But then the people that kidnapped him was his friends, used to be his homies, and they killed him, like, for what?
With members of the Death Patrol seemingly confirming the murder of Sweden's biggest drill rapper. And the next morning, the whole of Sweden would wake up to the news in the media about his murder. Immediately, speculation would also begin about exactly what had happened, with news reporting about threats that Einar had received on social media in the days leading up to his death. The news would even claim that money had been put on his head following the recent stabbing incident, and it was that event that apparently made Einar particularly fearful for his life. The witnesses also said that the killers themselves were actually the ones who had seemingly filmed the body of Einar after shooting him, with some wild claims even suggesting that the killers had actually broadcasted the entire execution to other gang members via FaceTime live, implying that these were actually contract killers who needed live proof of the job being done. There would even be videos circulating where two masked men seemingly claimed the murder whilst listening to that song Voy by Einar and Danny M, where Einar had supposedly dissed Haval's dead younger brother. However, despite an intensive investigation, the shooters of Einar were not caught, and soon the focus amongst fans and the media turned to the few facts that were known clearly, like the fact that the people that were with Einar at the time of his death, Adel and Dumela, with many asking how did the killers know where and when to hit Einar. Einar's address and other personal information was secret due to the threats against his safety.
Exactly. How'd they know where he lived, what time to go, and where he'll be? How'd they know that? And they killed just him. They didn't kill people he was with. They killed just him.
And the
See, that's the thing. Nobody in this world is really your friend, man. Nobody in this world is really your friend. Nobody. You can literally trust animals better than humans. Humans, that's what you can't trust. That's why I don't trust nobody, bro. I don't trust nobody. And you gotta be alert. You gotta be alert because people is saying you probably think people that are your friends, but not your friends. Probably get you John, backdoor you. The people in your circle, people around you know your weakness and your strengths. It's just a sad world we live in, bro. That people saying you think the people that are your friends really not, and they backdoor you for some money, or just because they're simply jealous of you. It just
would publish an in-depth interview with him where Dumela told about his life as an alleged Death Patrol member, and even shockingly telling the Swedish public to just let the gang members kill each other until there are none left, suggesting that it's not the middle and upper class people who die in the gang war, but just the people at the bottom who have made a problem for themselves.
Stadiet som konflikten är i nu mellan Shottaz och Dödspatrullen. Finns det någon lösning där?
Nej. Det finns ingen lösning. Det finns ingen lösning på den alltså.
See, I mean, there is, like, if y'all really want to end this, just come. Now, see, it's not going to end because it's too much pride and ego.
This
I mean, yeah, people's fate do come at one point, but killing each other, that's not, come on now, bro. yes, people do die. I mean, as it is, our life is temporary on this earth, so we got to use it the best way we can. Maybe positive energy in this
Anger
world.
the right-wing media pundits
This world
who
just,
saw
this
it as
world is just so evil and everything, but
glorifying
it's,
gang life. Moreover,
bro.
they would point out that Doomler had one particular crime in his past which was so horrendous that it should disqualify him completely from getting any kind of publicity in any context. Months after Einar's murder, in May 2022, a newspaper would report that a man has become a cold case, where the
what? Rest in peace. So he was cool with Einar? What, I don't know, bro. I don't know. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't set it. I don't know.
police
bro.
appear to strongly
But then they used to be cool. That's why I don't understand. RP Einar, man. RP the people that lost their life in this documentary, man.
can be at least partly explained with the lack of structure in the local gangs. In that sense, The problems in Sweden actually kind of follow the common trends in places like Chicago, where the fracturing of former large gangs with strict leadership structures into smaller neighborhood cliques without any real leadership after the demolition of many of the project buildings that house these organized gangs has led to an increasingly chaotic and senseless gang warfare, where alliances and enemies between a handful of lost youths can lead to senseless murders at a moment's notice over the smallest of disagreements. On the other hand, much like in Chicago, where the murder rate was in fact its highest during the reign of the large and hierarchical gangs, also in Sweden, the more organized gangs have in recent years shown that they too are capable of inflicting brutal violence on their enemies as well as innocent victims. It remains to be seen whether the current or future governments in Sweden, whether right-wing or left, are going to be able to solve this issue. But in order to find a long-lasting
Then we'll be able to solve it unless they arrest everybody, but then we'll be able to solve it because young people coming up, they're just carrying on the
solution, they will have to solve the core
the
issue
trend
of
against
why
them,
so
so
many
it's
kids in
not
Sweden
going-
now feel that the path of gangs and crime is the only one where they can find meaning. For Yasin, it seems that he has finally been able to move past that mindset, focusing instead on his rap career and raising a family far away from the dangers of Rinkeby. But others, like Einar, were not so lucky. And the sad truth is that no matter what country you come from, the fine line between gangster rapper and gang member must be walked carefully, because just one wrong step can be the difference between fame and glory or an early grave. I hope you found that story interesting.
Hey man, that was a good documentary, man. RP Arna, RP the people that lost their life in this documentary. To my happy sweaty. If I like that, like, subscribe, share, man. For the last part of it, we're done with the stuff, you know what I'm saying? I'll see y'all later, man.